Back or Gnimish go for the sweep.
And it looks like the coin goes to Gnimish. Not the greatest hand that you want to start with, though.
No, so he's probably going to mulligan some of those. Trump switches all of his cards, and he picks up an Earth Elemental and a Sunwalker, a card that you don't see all that often.
Yeah, this is actually, first off, there's some cool stuff going on here. Trump is playing a lot of taunts, so that's very different from the past.
Yeah,
it looks
we were
like
talking about that.
Yeah, he's really come to love the taunts, I guess. But that hand is really bad again. He's in that same position where his hand is too expensive to play early.
Maybe he can develop it with a Novice Engineer. Draws two.
Getting a lot better with that, at least.
And a Loot Order. So, and that's kind of what the Novice Engineer is for anybody who might be starting off wondering what cards are really good to make a core. Novice is good just because it improves the consistency, helps you get to the cards you want faster while having something on the board.
Well, it looks like Gnimish has some choices to make. I think the Acolyte of Pain is by far the best.
Yes.
He does throw that down. That should end up drawing him minimum 1 card, but very possible this could draw him 3 cards.
Someone tried to explain to me how Acolyte draws 1.5 cards on average, and I said that doesn't really make sense, but yeah, the idea is at least you can get something from it, assuming there's no silence. I don't think there's any silence run in Trump's deck.
Yeah, well, I guess he has Hex, but you don't really want to Hex that. You want to save Hex for some other stuff.
Ooh.
And yeah, it looks like he's going to start drawing some massive cards off this Acolyte. This is very, very good for him.
Awesome start. And he even has a Shattered Sun Cleric to add some more health if he wanted to.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's such a good play.
Excellent start.
Now it can draw even more cards, possibly. And look at that. He's removing things on the board, drawing cards. He's got the bigger threats. It's a better start for him, but that's okay, because he's got the aggressive deck, and the Shaman deck is really going to start kicking in on turn 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, especially with some of these power cards like the Earth Elemental and the Sunwalker looming. Now, one thing that's also really curious is that we see Trump picking a Mad Bomber, which is a cool card, especially when there's Blood Imps on the field.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, if it lands for some reason 3 times on the Acolyte of Pain, what are you going to do?
That would be absolutely hilarious. Well, let's see here. Does he drop it? Ooh, that's kind of wild. I think you actually sacrifice your little Novice Engineer probably into the 3/2, and then just hope they don't have any removal for some of your bigger minions next turn.
You could. He can try to Mad Bomber to absorb as many targets before attacking into it to potentially hit the Sun Cleric as well.
That would be nice, yeah. Because the thing is, as you say, if 1 or 2 or even 3 of those hit that Acolyte, the advantage for Gnimish is just out of this world.
I think he's going to go for the security of making sure he doesn't kill his own. And so 2 and 3,
oh,
and no!
That's about
1 lands on the Acolyte.
That's about as bad as it could have been.
Oh.
And a thank you coming out of Gnimish.
You know, Trump's also sometimes pegged that can be pretty emotional, and that's going to toy with his head all game long.
Oh, man, yeah. He's going to have to stay calm, though. It's a bad situation, but maybe he can recover. He is going to hit turn 5 next turn. And he's still at a high life total, so I mean, this isn't, there's still ways for him to come back.
And
it's
he
just
does have
card
some board
advantage.
presence. Yeah, absolutely. So with turn 4, we do have a Dark Iron Dwarf that could be dropped. Maybe a combination of a 3 and 1 with the Argent Squire, improve his board a little bit. Gnimish has a lot at his disposal. Do you have any recommendations?
Well, for Gnimish, I mean, there's almost no way you can go wrong here, to be perfectly honest. I think that he has so many different options, like draw more cards, play more minions. He could play 2 minions, 1 minion, do some pumps. He could do Cone of Cold. Like, there's just so much for him here.
There you go. And so he's going to choose to take out the Loot Hoarder and freeze it while he's being able to also attack and, again, develop more of his board. Now, how is Trump going to potentially respond? He has 5-drop as a big Earth Elemental. But he also drew an important card in Hex, and that's going to be really useful coming up soon.
Yeah, the Hex is definitely going to be an important card, especially once something a little bit bigger comes out. But does he play the Earth Elemental here? That's the question, because if he does, on turn 6, he can't play Fire Elemental or Sunwalker because of that overload.
That triple overload is not just any kind of overload. His next turn, the best he can do is play Hex or his Lava Burst.
Yeah, maybe a Totem, but yeah, it's not a pretty situation. Let's see if he can take it out very easily here. It's got 8 health. Of course, as taunts, you have to attack it.
And it's got Fireball, so he can do something there.
That might be the best way, is a Fireball plus run the Acolyte into him.
And so he can draw a card and trade essentially 1 for 1 even. Well, that Acolyte's been so useful.
Yeah. That's... how many cards is it actually drawn now? Is that the third card?
That's the third card, yeah.
It's so good.
2/4.
Such a strong card right now.
And now he's going to Frostbolt it.
Oh, really?
Instead of Fireball.
I'm actually a little bit
and trade a minion.
surprised. I have to say I'm a bit surprised by this Frodan. I thought that he would probably use the Fireball, but...
Probably want to save it for the burn, potentially.
Yeah, I guess so.
And you can use the ping, but he was also flirting with the idea of dropping a second Acolyte. Oh, he's playing really greedy.
Well, with this type of card advantage, I guess he just wants more, but he's got to be careful because Trump is getting that big mana. Not next turn because they overload, but the turn after that, he's going to have a huge turn.
So the 1/3 and a 1/1 on the board, how will Trump respond? He gets the Lightning Storm, but doesn't really need it at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think that's very useful.
He's just going to totem and pass. It's a dead turn for him otherwise.
And that's a good totem. Yeah. I think that that's something that probably Gnimish will get rid of. Yeah, mine too. I think for most people it is, unless I'm dying and then I want the Stoneclaw totem.
Yeah.
You know.
So a buff on the Acolyte with the Dark Iron Dwarf, and all of a sudden becomes a formidable minion on the board that can put on pressure. And that still gives flexibility because, oh, he's going to attack directly. I figured he could ping.
Yeah.
And take it. Or
well, I guess
might
he wants
drop
to play Fairy.
And then...
Yeah. And it's not a bad move at all, I would say.
And taking out the totem is really important because of the Lightning Storm that can come out.
All right, well, let's see now. What are we going to have it play this turn? Is it going to be the Fire Elemental? Is it going to be Sunwalker?
I think the Fire Elemental is excellent because the Fairy Dragon can get taken out by a Battle Cry, and then you have the Rockbiter to kind of follow up to maybe take out the Acolyte or something else like that.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong play. I would go with either one, but I think for sure, you're right, the Rockbiter has to come out this turn.
Or, if you want the Dream, you Hex the Dark Iron Dwarf, and then you Lightning Storm, and you leave RNG up for chance. But
well, actually, with that 2 spell power, he's going to kill everything with that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh, sick. That's a good move right there.
Something we didn't catch immediately, but Trump was able to find it out. Now he does draw a card, Gnimish does, but funny little animation series is...
Yeah, they like to split it up a little bit. It's an ongoing storm, but that is a ton of damage. He clears the board, and suddenly the controlling Shaman is looking good.
Yeah, and he didn't lose too much health. Still 23 at 8. At turn number 8 is excellent. And now we see that Gnimish is going to resort to drawing more cards. It seems to be the theme of this game.
I know, right? He has drawn so many extra cards this game, and you know what? Against such a controlling deck, could that play a factor later on?
Well, he does have that Fire Elemental that he hasn't played yet, and so he can take out the Harvest Golem. Still has that Sunwalker. Still haven't found a good use for it just yet either.
Yeah. You know, the Sunwalker wouldn't be a terrible play. I feel like the Fire Elemental right now might not be the best, because zapping that Golem into a 2/1 doesn't really help you that much.
Yeah. But he has... I'm trying to find out, what's the card behind the Argus?
That's the Rockbiter.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So he drops the Sunwalker, and that just gives him, you know, higher board presence, make it a target. And by now, I think Trump's also kind of deduced that Gnimish doesn't run a polymorph because he's dropped a lot of big targets.
That's
a conclusion you can make?
I think you're just about right, you know, especially if he did his homework coming in. Gnimish has played almost this exact deck in a lot of different tournaments and didn't ever run a polymorph. He was talking about possibly doing it for this event, but decided not to. So, yeah, he might be able to deduce that for sure. Now, I think here you might want to do something like Cone of Cold, Fireball, kill the totem, and attack.
He has to go through the Sunwalker first, though. Oh, you're right. So he's going to use the Divine Shield break with the Novice, then Fireball it.
Yeah. And not a bad play at all. This is going to leave his Harvest Golem out, because I'm sure he's going to want to take that Spell Power Totem. That's by far the best one.
Yeah, and he can even drop another Harvest Golem if he wants, or he's going to go for the Argus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He has 2, so he can get some utility in that regard.
And he wants to get the damage on instead. He's decided there's not going to be that many spells in there, and he should be fine. But look at this. Now Trump is going to have an insanely good turn.
Yeah, he's got Earth Elemental, which is extremely cheap. You can look at it as 8 mana, and you pay 3 next turn. But now he can Hex a buffed Harvest Golem, which is exactly what he wants. Take out the Defender of Argus with the Fire Elemental. Excellent turn for Trump.
That was a great turn right there. And now Trump is a player that's in control. He's down to 20 life, not too bad. You know, of course, it's double Pyro range, but he's got such board presence that I don't think Gnimish can do anything like that.
Gnimish does have the taunt to kind of buffer for it, and he has a powerful legendary, Sylvanas. People often hail it as the most powerful legendary. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Pretty much yes. Like, Blood Mage Thalnos is very nice. Ysera and Rag are really great if you get them out, but overall, Sylvanas goes in almost every single deck. She's just, look at the position she's put on this board. Like, if you kill her, you lose one of your minions, and who knows what you're going to lose.
Potentially the Fire Elemental, which would be absolutely devastating. But we do have some more options coming into Trump's hand. The Stormforged Axe, a very underrated weapon. Probably one of the best nowadays that people drop 3/2s instead of 2/3s on turn 2 and gives you a lot of board control.
I'm kind of, the thing is, you don't want to give him the Spell Power Totem, but I think that's going to have to happen. You know, we don't see any hacks here, so maybe use like a Rockbiter or the Stormforged Axe to take out the taunt and then just get rid of your Fire Elemental on that Sylvanas. That's one of the only things I can think of here.
Yeah, he does have a lot of options with like a Lava Burst and the weapon and Rockbiter if you really want to, but again, leaving it up to chance is just too difficult.
Yeah. You can't just willingly give up a Fire Elemental to a Sylvanas. That's like a game ender right there. So I think Trump is just kind of working through this in his mind and saying, okay, I think I have to do this now. He has to get this totem.
Keep in mind that he also could heavily overload himself, but he's going to use
I like
Rockbiter and then trade it and then give no minions to Gnimish.
Really good move there.
Wow.
Very smart play here by Trump.
All right, and then he can drop the Earth Elemental if he wants to as well and finish off his turn with incredible board presence. And now...
This is scary for Gnimish, man. This is not a situation I would like to be in with this Mage deck.
Oh, but he draws a second Pyroblast, and now he has 21 damage on the board.
This happens sometimes, Rodan.
Man.
There's no life gain whatsoever in the deck of Trump, so he actually has to win this turn, and that's not going to happen.
He has to do 28 damage, and that's just not possible because he doesn't have the capability. He's overloaded, can't even drop a Ragnaros, and that would have maximized it to 17. Wow.
There's no way to do it.
And just like that.
Just like that. That's sometimes how the cookie crumbles with Pyroblast.
However, Trump doesn't know, so he might take his time and
really sure. I
mean,
you don't count on him necessarily having that, but having that come out that turn, he's probably thinking in the back of his head that there's enough for lethal next turn.
And by now, you've drawn about half of your deck, probably about 15 to 17 cards, so the probability is still kind of in the middle range for drawing double Pyroblast, so Trump probably has no suspicions. And yeah, putting out the Sylvanas is the sealing fate. Gnimish, probably, yep, there it is, the well played. Gnimish will win 3-0 over Trump.
That is a very strong victory.